Thank you very much. So we'll, to all the panelists for sharing your experiences. We'll now gather the next panel. So where's Brother BRAY? My buddy, there, okay. So where's your team? Come on up, speakers. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Brother Peter BRAY. I'm the Vice-Chancellor at Bethelem University, originally from New Zealand, and have been for the last 10 years at Bethelem University. Because of time restraints, what we're going to do is, there are only 4 of us in this panel, that what we'll do, each of us will introduce ourselves, say something about our university, and then highlight some challenges. And we'll take about 8 minutes each, and then there'll be some time, hopefully at the end, for some questions. So as people are speaking, if you jot down some questions you might like to ask them. So we'll start at the, just follow along, start at the far end, Father, if you could start with yours.
Okay, thank you. George NKEZE, Jingwa is my name. I always give. George NKEZE, Jingwa is my name. I always give thanks to the Salesians. Professor Mario is there. They trained me in education. I would like to talk about Catholic universities in precarious and uncertain and difficult political landscape. The case of the Catholic University Institute of Buea, Cameroon. Cameroon is known as Africa in one country, beautiful country, beautiful. It's known for its soccer team. Roger Milla, you all know Roger Milla. It's very bilingual, English and French. The students that's expected to know both languages. There are 200 tribes in Cameroon, 200 tribes, 200 different languages. So you're expected to know about 4 languages. Your mother tongue, English, French, and Pidgin, which is the lingua franca of Cameroon. So a typical Cameroonian will have to know 4 languages. It's a country of 23 million, rich in resources. The president, Paul Biya, age 85, he's still president, 36 years old as president. He still wants to run this October for another 7 years. That will take him to more than 90 years as president. The country is run by a 5% elderly, and 60% of the population are youthful. So I'm just trying to give you a background of the challenges that we face in a political structure that is like where just 5% of the elderly are running that structure and 60% are young people. Unemployment rate is 54%. It's ranked as one of the most corrupt countries in the world, unfortunately. So there's a general frustration among the young people because of the leadership. Now, where do we come in as a university? it's a diocesan university founded in 2010 by the Bishop, Emmanuel Bushu, as a response to the frustration of millions of young people in Cameroon. The whole focus is on entrepreneurship, which is, as you all know, it's a vocation. Entrepreneurship is a vocation. The political document on the vocation of business leader is very good, articulates that. It's a mindset, and also you have to do business. So all our students have to do business in all the disciplines. They have to be entrepreneurial. While in agriculture, engineering, they have to do business. Their passion is their passion. The goal is to help them to be owners of their own development. I think that's a way forward to address poverty and misery at the roots in Africa. The idea of aid is not helping. It goes again through the top, and it doesn't go to the bottom. So this model begins from the bottom to the top, empowering the young people to be job creators instead of job seekers. This is the goal for Africa. And we teach our students, they are agripreneurs, spiritpreneurs, what about Catholic studies, stempreneurs, technopreneurs, that's our goal. Nothing else, nothing more. Now, this is what is happening with a landscape that in 2016 there was a revolution. The English-speaking part of Cameroon decided to secede. So this is where the challenge has come. It started as a lawyers' movement, and then went to schools. And there was a strong agenda of no school. So for 2 years, no school. There have been a strong agenda, no school for 2 years. The argument is that, why should kids go to school when there's no future? So they had a lot of support, no school. And so a good number of schools have to close down in the English-speaking region. The bend-down schools, if you open your schools, they come to you and bend down your school. So it has been a tough times. They attack kids who are going to school, students, lecturers, administrators going to school. Why do you have to go to school? There's no reason going to school. The internet was shut down by the government for 4 months. So the entire revolution is driven by a strong social media war. The media has played a very strong role in this revolution. And so Cameroon now is at the brink of a civil war. This is what's happening now. You see what's happening. The young people have all taken up arms. You see, they're all now in the forest. Militias attacking and fighting the government. They want to own their land by force. So it's kind of a challenging time to see young people with all the energy they have. They're going to the forest and picking up arms. Again, these arms are sold from the West. This is where we have the challenge. And they are cleaning themselves. We are cleaning ourselves now in Cameroon. Look at what, so families are displaced. You see families are displaced. The street, we call that they call this ghost town, where nobody comes out. When the militia says nobody's out for the next 2 days, nobody goes out. Imagine the whole of Maynooth, nobody goes out for 2-3 days. We call them ghost towns. That's how our towns are. So the kids cannot go to school. Because if you go out, you're attacked. So the streets are all empty. You see, if you come out, you're killed, you're attacked. You see, the government is fighting the young people. Those young people, 9 years old with guns, 10 years old with guns, the government is trying to clamp down on them. It's so difficult now because the landscape has changed. Social media is carrying it everywhere. So the landscape has changed. So this is, Yes, okay. No, what's happening? It's not going good. So, I don't know what, okay. All right, so that's 2 more minutes. So that is the landscape social media war. Kidnappings take place, very common. Everybody, if you are against them, they pick you up, they kidnap for ransom. So that is the reality. So what is the effect of this? The effect of this shows 300,000 refugees now, destruction of entire villages, students cannot go to school, parents don't pay fees anymore, there's loss of trust, enrollments in our schools have dropped. We had 2,500, now it's 700, it might drop to 200. You never know what can happen. Very uncertain. Now, what is our position? We feel that in this crisis, CUIB did not give up the spirit. We must run schools. We had to be bold as Catholic, to be non-partisan and our political stand. We had to stand strong and tell the world and both sides that students need to learn. The future for Africa is to train young entrepreneurs. To deny them that opportunity is to create more sufferings for the young. So we went on in the very tough circumstances. We blocked the school. We bring them in the night, early in the morning. They don't walk out, they don't walk in groups. So we had strategies to keep the students in school for them to learn. They need to learn. And so we had new strategies in campus, got some people not going to school. The people that could not go to school, what we did was we brought them together and started at elementary school to train them as people entrepreneurs. Kids of 2 years, 3 years, so we had to start at elementary school. Train people entrepreneurs because that's the way forward. Let them be owners of their own destiny, of their own future. That is the way forward for Africa, not aid, not aid. So this is the school, which you see what we are doing. In the midst of that crisis went on. Because some parents want their children to go to school, and we succeeded to get some of them. And that is it. And so how do we keep hope alive? Can IFCU be a source of mediation? I don't know. But I think the goal now is how do we use technology to help these young people learn? I think that is the challenge that we'll share. So we need more suggestions from you. We are open. I'm open to any suggestions. How do we run schools in such a climate? How do we run schools in such a climate where it's so uncertain that some days the streets are not, they're empty. They may declare that this week no school, or sometimes in school they attack the schools. So how do you run schools in such a system? We are ready to go on. We are not giving up. Thank you.
Voilà, moi je suis Innocent NYIRINDEKWE. Je viens de Goma, de la République démocratique du Congo. Je suis recteur d'une très très jeune université de 7 ans seulement, qui est née en 2011 et qui a diplômé ses premiers lauréats il y a 1 année seulement. Donc nous sommes là heureux de pouvoir apprendre, écouter et essayer de comprendre aussi comment les autres ont fait en face de ceux qui ont déjà fait peut-être plus de 500 ans. Nous nous trouvons des petits. L'université catholique, la Sapienza de Goma, est née dans un contexte qui a 2 aspects. C'est d'abord les parents des enfants qui ont demandé à l'Église. Parce que on s'est rendu compte que la plupart des enfants qui allaient en supérieur, c'était des enfants qui se perdaient à cause d'un déficit intellectuel, éthique et moral dans les universités publiques, souvent, à cause de la corruption. Alors les parents ont demandé à l'Église. Le deuxième motif, c'était le fait que nous sommes dans une zone au conflit récurrent, beaucoup de guerres. Nous sommes à l'est du Congo, à la frontière avec le Rwanda. Depuis ce qui s'est passé au Rwanda en 1994, il y a comme un effet de boomerang vers le Congo. Il y a eu de l'insécurité qui s'est généralisée. Et donc, beaucoup de jeunes ont, comme au Cameroun, intégré les groupes armés. Et il fallait trouver des solutions pour les réintégrer dans les écoles. Et le diocèse, pour les 2 motifs, a dit, d'accord, la mission de l'éducation n'est pas secondaire. Pour moi, c'est une mission prioritaire. Et donc, en 2011, on a commencé cette école. Voilà donc la raison. Ici, nous sommes presque entre deux imaginaires. Je me sens presque coincé entre l'imaginaire de la grandeur, de la puissance, de la réussite que j'ai regardé depuis le début dans les grandes présentations et un imaginaire un peu de la petitesse, de l'enfance, comme quelqu'un a dit, le Rwandais, quand il a dit il y a des grands et il y a des nains. Mais je crois que nous sommes dans la même mission. Je me représente une maman qui envoie 3 enfants puiser, parce que je viens de l'Afrique, puiser dans un ruisseau. Il leur donne 3 petits bidons. Au premier, l'aîné qui a 18 ans, il lui donne un petit bidon de 15 litres, et au deuxième, un bidon de 8 litres, et à un troisième, un bidon de 3 litres. Quand tous ces enfants arrivent à la maison, maman ne va pas coter positivement celui qui a amené le 15 litres, mais je crois que tous les 3 enfants, chacun a amené comme il peut. Et je crois que pour nous, c'est important, le souci de penser qu'on est encore petit. peut-être ça va nous aider à grandir en regardant ce que les autres font. Le deuxième point, sont les défis. D'abord, un défi majeur. Le défi majeur, c'est le non-accès aux biens de la science, aux biens de la technologie, aux biens du développement, aux biens de l'innovation. C'est ça le problème fondamental, je crois. Ne pas accéder comme les autres, n'est-ce pas, à ces biens de la science. Ne pas avoir la possibilité d'y accéder. Et les défis spécifiques, le premier naturellement, c'est celui de la formation de nos formateurs. En tant que jeunes universités, nous recourons, comme les autres ont dit, à la mobilité et cela coûte beaucoup. Et donc, il faut trouver des moyens pour former des professeurs, des enseignants et des chercheurs. Le deuxième défi, c'est le défi de la recherche. On ne peut pas faire de la recherche quand on n'a pas les outils techniques et les outils matériels qu'il faut. Imaginez que dans mon université, qui est âgée de 7 ans, nous allumons les générateurs, comme on appelle chez nous les groupes électriques, de 8h à 18h, parce qu'il n'y a pas d'électricité. C'est très, très difficile. Deuxièmement, nous n'avons pas d'Internet. Nous utilisons l'Internet seulement avec les SIM cards ou avec ce qu'on appelle les modems. C'est très rare que vous avez un Wi-Fi qui fonctionne et donc vous voyez que accéder à ce que j'ai appelé les biens de la science et de la technologie, ça devient un problème terrible. Troisième difficulté ou défi, ce sont les infrastructures. Il faut construire, même s'il faut y aller doucement. Nous avons un principe de gradualité pragmatique. On ne peut pas vouloir grand quand on est encore petit. Nous nous disons il faut y aller doucement. Mais donc, il faut construire parce que les étudiants, les apprenants doivent avoir des conditions d'études assez normales. Quatrième défi, qui est le dernier, c'est le défi d'équipement et de bibliothèque. Parce qu'effectivement, si vous imaginez une université qui a moins de 50 ordinateurs, c'est un défi majeur. Donc, on est petit, mais on pense qu'on peut grandir. Alors, troisième point, peut-être par rapport à la concrétisation de la solidarité. Parce que nous sommes dans le panel qui regarde les défis et la solidarité. Je parle d'une sagesse africaine parce que nous aimons des sagesses. Dans ma culture, on dit que là où il n'y a pas la mauvaise volonté, la peau du plus petit animal peut couvrir plusieurs personnes. Imaginez si vous prenez un petit lapin, vous lui enlevez la peau, si vous voulez couvrir toute la salle parce que vous avez l'amour et la générosité, alors vous pouvez couvrir toute la salle. La peau du plus petit animal, là où il y a la générosité et le partage, la valeur horizontale du partage, alors tout le monde peut réellement avoir l'abondance, parce que le Seigneur nous appelle à la vie et à la vie en abondance. Donc, pour concrétiser, des petites choses concrètes. Moi, je me dis, si quelqu'un, parce qu'il ne s'agit pas seulement que le plus petit ou celui qui est pauvre, quelqu'un a parlé de la pauvreté ou du manque. Si ça doit être simplement toujours lui qui va demander, évidemment, il va ennuyer. Mais si l'aîné, le grand frère, prend conscience qu'il y a un petit frère qui a besoin de petites choses, alors l'aîné peut lui dire, mais petit, nous aimons dire ça chez nous, nous aimons utiliser les mots petit et grand pour dire l'aîné et le plus petit. Petit, tu as besoin de quoi? Moi, j'ai un ordinateur que je n'utilise pas. J'ai un laboratoire de ceci ou de cela ou un atelier. Moi, je dois tout changer. Voilà, je vais te les donner. Est-ce que ça peut te servir? J'ai une bibliothèque que je vais larguer. Est-ce que la bibliothèque peut te servir? Tu as besoin des ouvrages. Voilà des exemples. Oui, je vais terminer. Donc, c'est possible. La deuxième chose pour concrétiser, c'est de dire, quand je dis nous avons le plus grand défi, la formation, c'est de dire, moi, dans mon université, au lieu d'attendre la FIUC, moi, dans ma région, je peux accueillir un assistant, deux jeunes dans mon université, qu'ils viennent être formés et qu'ils rentrent. Ou alors, je peux mobiliser les enseignants de mon université pour faire, comme le collègue disait, une association sans frontières des professeurs pour venir aider. Voilà des petits exemples que je donne et je crois que ça peut toucher tous les domaines pour dire, effectivement, si on veut partager, on peut le faire. Mais il ne faut pas attendre toujours que ce soit l'autre qui demande, mais si on est conscient qu'on est dans la catholicité, alors c'est possible. Et je termine en me posant une question. Quelle est la part de nos églises dans l'accompagnement de la FIUC? Est-ce que les conférences épiscopales, est-ce que nos diocèses, parce qu'il y a des conférences épiscopales qui ont trop de moyens. J'ai été content d'entendre que la CHEI a financé. Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas d'autres conférences épiscopales qui ont les moyens et d'autres diocèses qui ont des moyens et d'autres fondations qui ont des moyens qui peuvent effectivement accompagner? Ça, c'est l'avant-dernière question. La dernière, effectivement, nous demandons aux aînés d'avoir cet intérêt de regarder et de dire ce que nous pouvons faire pour vous. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Rasche, and I'm the Vice-Chancellor of the Catholic University in Erbil in northern Iraq. And I think you have before you in this panel the panel of chaos, whose reality is quite different, I think, than many of the rest of you here. And so I'm very grateful to have a chance to speak to you, and especially honored to speak after my brothers, who we are with you. We are in the same place. The history of our university, I think we are the youngest and the smallest and the poorest and most likely, along with my brothers here, the most endangered university that is at this conference. We look at that as a blessing, and I'll tell you why a little bit later on. As our history, we were born in the middle of the war, the ISIS war, with a generous grant from the Italian Catholic Bishops' Conference that came to us, about 2 million euros, that enabled us to open up a university for the displaced Christians of northern Iraq, from Mosul and Nineveh primarily. Over 150,000 of them were violently chased from their homes by ISIS. And most of them ended up in the Archdiocese of Erbil, and because of a massive failure in international aid, these Christians, these displaced Christians, became almost exclusively the wards of the church. In this time, we had to make decisions on what we would do with these young people, especially, so that they did not lose all of these critical years of their lives. And so, again, with the help of the Italian Bishops' Conference, we were able to open a small university, which we did in the middle of the war. And at the time that we finished constructing the buildings and were prepared to open, we thought we were at a static point in the war, in which we'd have some breathing space to open. But then the resumption of the war and the retaking of Mosul and Nineveh began again. The fighting again began in earnest. The situation became more difficult again. And so for these last 3 or 4 years, we've been in a place of stop and start and stop and start. Nevertheless, we are determined to continue. And I'll tell you why that is. The Christians of Iraq in 2003, there were about 1.5 million Christians still in Iraq in 2003. Today, by any realistic count, there are less than 200,000. The church in Iraq is no longer an established church, but is in fact a missionary church. But the Christians that do remain, and at the heart of them is the Catholic Church. The Christians of Iraq are predominantly Catholic, about 85% of them Catholic. The status of that remaining group is very sincerely believing that they are now a missionary church with a role in the Middle East to show the Christian teaching, the Christian spirit can remain there. Our Christian witness, despite all of this persecution, all of this horrendous violence, that the Christian witness has a place to remain. Historically in Iraq and in the Middle East, the Christians have held two primary areas, and that's education and healthcare. And we think these are two areas where the Christian witness can remain in Iraq regardless of the situation. Regardless of how few of us are left, there is still a rightful place for us in these two fields. So the Catholic University of Erbil, then, where are we? We are officially recognized by the Ministry of Higher Education in both Baghdad and in Erbil. For those of you who have familiarity with Iraq, there's an autonomous region in northern Iraq, the Kurdistan Autonomous Region. They have their own government in Erbil. There's another government, the federal government in Baghdad. They're in conflict with each other quite often, and we have to deal with both of them. We are in Erbil, so we have to get approval from both sides, and oftentimes they don't speak with each other or recognize each other, and we're in this environment. Nevertheless, our university has approval from both ministries of higher education. We're approved both as an institution of higher education and learning and also a research institution. So in the short time that I have for you today, and I'm happy to speak with any of you afterwards, but we have two requests, two things that we're looking for in our effort to remain alive and remain valid and useful. The two things that we're looking for is help in training our faculty. It's one thing to have foreign faculty come in for 3 months or 6 months or whatever, but it's no way to build a university for a long term. We need to develop indigenous local faculty, and this is what we're trying to do. For this reason, we are looking for partners within the Catholic University world that will take our qualified students and assist them and take them in as scholarship students in obtaining their higher degrees, their master's degrees, their doctorate degrees. These are students that are fully vetted by the Archdiocese. They come with the personal guarantee of the Archbishop that we will return them, that these are mature students who are going out for a mission, who believe in our mission to be educated and then return to us. We've had success with this so far. We've had 7 students go to the Catholic University in Australia, and I know you're here someplace. Thank you very much. I hope I get a chance to see you before this is over. But 7 students have gone to the Catholic University in Australia and returned. We have 2 students at the University of Dallas, a Catholic university in the U.S., that are there now, a husband and wife team getting their masters and PhDs. We've just had students accepted at the Franciscan University of Steubenville in the U.S. as well. And so we're looking to establish these sorts of relationships. Our language of instruction is in English, so that is an important thing for us. But if your universities are such that you think you might have space for these types of students, we would very much like to speak with you. The second thing that we're doing is as a research institute, we are establishing institutes of religious freedom and an Institute of Cultural Preservation. These are opportunities for established scholars to come into Iraq and help us. If your schools have any such scholars and you'd like to discuss that, I'm happy to speak with you as well. Thank you very much for your time.
It would be very easy to get a sense of despair after listening to these, but I think one of the things that is very central to what we're on about as Christian and Catholic universities is the hope that is at the very heart of our faith. And I think at Bethelem University, one of our biggest challenges is to keep hope alive, and I would suspect it would be exactly the same for these. Bethelem University was started in 1973 in the midst of the Yom Kippur War, and thank you. I haven't started. It started with 112 students. It emerged out of the visit to Palestine and the Holy Land of Pope Paul VI in 1964. But it wasn't until Archbishop Piolagi, the apostolic delegate, took up the challenge in 1972 to get the university started, and it started in 1973. I often wonder, in December 1972, the decision was made to start the university. In October 1973, it opened. I'm just thinking, you know, the process that would have to be gone through now to start a university is quite extraordinary. So we have, at present, we have 3,200 students. Of those, 24% are Christian and 76% are Muslim. And we have 78% of the students are women. And I think that's a wonderful way in which we're contributing to Bethelem, to Palestine. My concern is the trend. When I went there, it was 68%, and now it's grown to 78%. I just like to make the point, it's not because I'm there that all the women are coming, but I think the trend, you know, if we got into the 80% or 85%, it could very easily become an all-boys university, which we don't want. We have 5 faculties, business, education, science, nursing and arts, and an Institute of Hotel Management and Tourism. What I'd like to spend some time on, though, are the challenges that we face there. There are 3 areas I'd like to touch on. Firstly, the political challenges, the academic challenges, and the religious challenges. I'm sure you're all aware that Bethelem University in Palestine exists under occupation. The colonization that Israel is pursuing is having significant impact on us. The one restriction that impacts most on our students is the restriction on movement. We have 46% of our students coming from East Jerusalem, which means they have to come through the wall each day to go to Bethelem University. And the students who are in Palestine are unable to go into Israel except with specific permission of the Israeli military. That has huge implications for us as far as movement is concerned and our curriculum. We have a program on religious studies which looks at Islam, Christianity and Judaism in the Holy Land, where the 3 of them sort of start. And we can't take our Muslim students into Alaska Mosque. We can't take so many of our Christian students into the Holy Sepulchre or up into the Galilee. And that restricts us in the way in which we can carry out our programs around religious studies. I think the other implication of the occupation is the economic one. Israel controls the economy in Palestine, particularly in Jerusalem, in Bethlehem. And as a result, in Bethlehem, the unemployment rate is around 24–25%. For young people under 26, it's up in the 40%. So one of the things that is a real challenge for us is keeping people motivated, keeping people with hope that there is point in what they are doing. And I think the standing of Bethlehem University in Palestine, it's, with all due humility, it's the best university there. And so people who graduate from Bethlehem University have a much better opportunity of getting a job because of that background. What we are trying to do is we're working with universities outside Palestine. Indiana University in particular, we've developed a business incubator which is centered at Bethlehem University, but it is for Bethlehem, it's not just for our students, helping people not just get jobs, but to create jobs. And that's beginning to have an impact, and we're fortunate with the funding to enable that to happen. Academically, I think one of our biggest challenges is, as had been mentioned before, getting qualified faculty. We are restricted in the visas that Israel will allow foreigners to have. It's a 3-month visa, which is not a semester. So we can't employ foreign academics. And that means that the pool of people from which we can draw our faculty is very, very limited. And we're very, very fortunate that there are universities, particularly in the United States and England, who are taking our graduates. One university, and this is one of the brothers' university, at Lewis University in Chicago, for almost 30 years now, has taken one of our graduates, put them through a master's program at their expense on the condition that they come back and teach with us. And that has had a huge impact on the availability of qualified people at Bethelem University. So we're limited in our ability to attract foreign academics, but our master's program in international cooperation is done in a module system. So we are able for that to bring people in from around the world to teach there. One of the other things that I'm concerned about is the lack of diversity among our students. We're not allowed to have international students. We're not allowed to have students from Israel. And so they're all Palestinians. And I think that is a disadvantage for them. Fortunately, we have a number of endowments which enable us to send our students outside, and we, for about 7-8 years now, about a dozen of our students have gone to the United States in the summer for internships there. We have people going to Melbourne in Australia for internships there. So that's a huge thing, because many of our students from the West Bank have never been outside Palestine. There's this famous story, which I won't go into great detail about one of our 22-year-old students who happened to mention to a group of pilgrims that he'd never set eyes on the sea, which is about 30 kilometres away. So they're locked into this area that has huge impact on the way in which they can benefit from the education we offer. The third challenge we have is a religious one. In Palestine, less than 2%, it's closer to 1% of the population are Christian. And one of the reasons Bethelem University was founded was to support the Christians in Palestine. So we have at Bethelem University 24% of our students as Christians. And this is a significant way in which we're reaching out to support these people, not only to give them education, but to provide them with an opportunity so that they can stay there and be part of the Christian community in Palestine. One of the things that we are very conscious of is that in keeping 24% of our population Christian, we're obviously giving preference to Christians, and I have no qualms about doing that whatsoever. In doing that, it means that those Christian students are supported. They're not isolated little individuals in a sea of Muslim students. There's support there for them. The reverse of it, though, is that with that number of Christians, it's impossible for our Muslim students to be there and not engage with Christians. And many, if not most of our students from Hebron have never met a Christian until they come to Bethelem University. And I think one of the significant contributions Bethelem University is making is providing that opportunity. Now, many people have asked me, what is an unashamedly Catholic university doing in a country where there's only about 1% of the population Christian? And my response is, if you go back 2,000 years to when Jesus started his ministry there were no Christians there at all then. So what was he doing? And if you go to chapter 10 of John's Gospel, verse 10, I have come, why? I have come that they may have life in all its fullness. That's what Jesus was on about. That's exactly what Bethelem University is on about. Whether they be Christians or Muslims or no faith at all, what we are doing is creating an atmosphere, developing an environment, providing an opportunity for our students to gain the knowledge, to acquire the skills, to develop the virtues and whatever that's going to enable them to live life as fully as they possibly can. And I think one of the challenges that we have as an organisation in IFCU, and you'd notice that one of the things in the title of this conference is about solidarity. And I'd like to make the point to finish that solidarity is not about charity. It's not about trying to help. No, as Desmond Tutu says, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have taken the side of the oppressor. Thank you. Okay, we have about 5 minutes, and if you have any questions to any of the four of us, please feel free to ask them now. We have a microphone down here, please. In the front row. Oh no, this one here. She's coming.
Thank you so much for your testimonies. It was very impressive. And I would like, in Erbil, in Iraq, in your university, what are the disciplines that you are developing?
So in Iraq, we suffer from the educational system that was bequeathed to us by Saddam, which he inherited from the Russians. And so that any discipline that we want to, and any course that we want to put in place has to be approved first by the Ministry of Higher Education. And it's quite a process. But right now, we have disciplines approved. I'll try to remember all of them off the top of my head. But they're approaching the standard liberal arts courses that you would have in the West. So we have languages, English, Arabic. We have business administration, economics, intellectual property, and information technology. We have Oriental Studies, which is an umbrella department for us under which we can put religion and theology. We cannot call it that overtly, so we do it as Oriental Studies. We have international relations and several of the sciences as well. So we have a website which if you Google us, Catholic University in Erbil, and it lists all of those. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions down the back?
My name is Sofia Opatska. I come from Ukrainian Catholic University, and I'm also from the country where we have war and a lot of challenges, and it's something between comment and question to all of you. In countries which have big problems and, as you have mentioned, chaos, very often there are very high expectations to Catholic universities or as a hope, you know, because we really become a place of hope. And so very many people come and they say they have plenty of ideas of new programs. They have plenty of suggestions to us how we can help the society. But at the same time, we typically have lack of resources. We are small. We need to be focused. And I don't know, from my experience, it's very difficult to communicate back to the society that we cannot solve all the problems. And though we are so important in our countries, still there should be some other institutions. So maybe my question is, how do you cooperate with other stakeholders? How do you solve this issue for yourself?
I think you're right, but I think the focus should be on empowering the few that you have. Christ did not solve all the problems of the poor. They were still poor in Israel. We have to do the ones we can do. Empower them to be owners of their own development. I think we should not feel we can change the whole world, but we can change ourselves first, having the right vision, the right attitude. And once they see the right attitude, you give them hope. Even some of those who don't have jobs or cannot go to school. When we have the right vision and we train a generation of young people who don't see the crisis as negative, but as an opportunity to grow. See, the danger I see is that we start making as if they are the worst of the world. No, we have to make them still that dignity of the human person in the midst of the crisis, to be positive, focus on the ones you can. Those ones will spread slowly. As he said, as brother said, Christ started with 12, it goes. So for me, this is the approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Any of the other? I think one of the things that I've sort of been very aware of in terms of hope, in trying to keep hope alive, that hope is different to optimism. Because from my perspective, when the Palestinians look back over the last 60 or so years, there's very, very little that would lead them to be optimistic. So my struggle was, well, what's this hope thing about? And one of the things I've become very aware of in the last 10 years is that for our students to be aware that there are people outside their situation who have some understanding of what they are going through and are standing in solidarity with them. And that's why I thank every group I have the chance to speak to for being there, because their very presence on the campus is showing the students that somebody believes in them. Any other question? Another question down the back?
Oui, c'est une question d'un observateur extérieur à votre communauté. Je suis intrigué par l'absence de lien qui est fait entre les différents et passionnants exposés ce matin, entre nouvelles technologies, enjeux de l'internationalisation, mobilité et solidarité. Est-ce que ne se dégage pas à l'évidence la nécessité que vous construisiez un tronc commun de connaissances autour duquel vous mutualiseriez vos compétences pour construire des cours en commun, des cours à distance, relayés localement? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas une évidence pour la FIUC de s'engager solidairement? Puisque le mot solidaire, vous avez raison de souligner, ce n'est pas de la charité. Solidaire, ça vient de in solidum, ça vient de la capacité à s'engager mutuellement, à s'engager pour l'ensemble. Il me semble, à écouter de l'extérieur les conférences passionnantes de ce matin, que c'est la conclusion évidente qui devrait se dégager, vous m'en excusez.
Anybody want to respond to that?
I think your proposal is good. In some areas, they may not be able to use the internet, as my brother said. They don't have the internet. So, but in some areas, you may have the internet. So it will apply to some communities. It may not apply to other communities. But as you rightly say, we should use, IFCU can help galvanize support to use the modern means of communication to train the students. One of the things that I find in Africa is that the mobile phone, almost everyone, even the people in the villages, have a mobile phone. So I was so excited about the mobile project. You can use that to learn, and that's what we're trying to do now. How do we use what is common in our own environments to keep hope alive? And I think that's where we could look at each environment should be able to come out with what tool they will need to help young people learn and keep hope alive. Thank you.
Okay, we need to bring this to an end, but I think the President Roosevelt at one stage says, do what you can, where you are, with what you have. And I think that's a challenge that each of us has. And I think some of the things that have been mentioned here, not only in this session, but earlier, of ways of engaging with one another to find support so that the young people that are entrusted to us get the best possible education they can. So shukran, thank you for being here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Merci beaucoup au frère Dre aussi qui a animé cette table ronde. I forgot to introduce Brother Dre when he started. Alors, nous avons quelques minutes d'abord pour dévoiler le résultat des élections. Est-ce qu'il y a des gens, c'est vous, Hugh, qui allez prendre ça? Bon. Avant qu'on dévoile les résultats, simplement vous dire qu'on a fait note d'une erreur sur le bulletin de vote. Donc, le bulletin disait Francisco Sanchez Campos, Costa Rica University, alors que le prénom du candidat, c'est Fernando. Alors, nous avons consulté un conseiller juridique à savoir si cette erreur invalidait les élections. Et le conseiller juridique qui est dans la salle présentement nous confirme qu'il s'agit, sur le plan technique, d'une erreur matérielle qui ne change rien au résultat parce qu'on pouvait très bien identifier le candidat étant donné qu'on avait nommé le nom de l'université et le pays. Donc, je veux rassurer tout le monde sur la validité. Voilà.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues.
Yes, suspense.
You don't quite have a drum roll, so we're not going to go there. I should explain that associate members have 1 vote and then regular full members have 2 votes. So the total electorate, the total votes cast, and all votes were valid. The total votes cast were 85. Of those, 82 were full members, so those are doubled, and so when you hear the numbers, they're much higher. And there were 3 associate votes, which means that those votes count for 1. So on the first count, which we counted the ballot on the venue for the next meeting, and the 3 candidates were from respective countries of Mexico, USA, and Chile. We had in third place with a total of 39, Mexico. In second place with a total of 48, Chile. And in first place, Boston College with a total of 80. And when you do the addition on both this vote and the other vote, the total number comes to 167, which is made out of 82 by 2 and 3 by 1. So in other words, 164 from the regular members and 3 from the associate members. So the total weighting, the total number we use is 167. And so going to the vote for the new incoming president. The candidates were from Portugal and from Costa Rica, respectively, and in second place with a total of 65 was Fernando Sanchez Campos, and in first place with a total of 102 was Isabel Capello-Agil.
So I guess you want to hear from the new president. So Isabel, if you could say a few words before we go to lunch. Who are the vice presidents?
So, thank you. I also have this is for the end. Let's see whether I can. Oh, it's here. It's here. I'll help you out here. Where's the disc? Show you that. This one? Yeah.